Great, thank you. Good afternoon, Vice Chair and committee members. I'm Brent Carlton,
Please move your mic closer.
Executive Director of the Texas Medical Board, and joining me today is Joey Estrada, our Chief Financial Officer. Thank you for the opportunity to speak about TMB's budget priorities this session. I want to begin by thanking you for your support of TMB and all state employees last session with the across-the-board pay increases. When surveyed, employees expressed a 56-point increase in employee satisfaction when asked about pay. In fact, our staff's overall view of the board is more favorable now than in the past. It's proof that what we're doing at TMB is working, and I'm proud of our team's efforts. It is well established that happy employees are more productive, which is clearly reflected in our data. A few quick statistics might help demonstrate the board's increasing workload and performance. From FY19 to FY24, the board issued 56% more licenses in 40% less time. Additionally, our primary performance metric for our litigation department showed a 57% reduction to a record low. In both cases, despite working with multiple legacy systems that are over 20 years old, which do not interact with each other, and an increasing licensee population that results in higher numbers of applications, renewals, and unfortunately complaints, our team has been nimble, innovative, and thoughtful in modifying internal processes to create more efficiency. That said, we know we can improve even more with the continued support of the legislature. In terms of our funding structure, the medical board operates without any reliance on the state's general revenue, as our collected revenues exceed expenditures. In FY24, we collected 36.2% more revenue than in FY16. This trend is expected to continue, with our revenue projected to increase by 4% each year for the next 5 years. For the current biennium, the board was appropriated only 56% of total revenue collected, including one-time capital projects. Excluding those projects, it was only 52%. And this brings me to our exceptional item requests. We are respectfully requesting exceptional items in 3 categories, again, all of which could be funded with current TMB revenue collections. The first is for inflation-adjusted operational costs. These are requests 1, 2, 3, and 5 in our LAR. Based on our research over the past 5 years, the agency has experienced a 10 to 15% increase in the cost for goods and services, while information technology services and purchases have increased 15 to 20%. Additionally, we want to address salary inflation impacts on our employees to remain competitive with market conditions. The agency performed a compensation analysis which revealed pay deficiencies for specific positions like attorneys and nurse investigators. So dollars appropriated for this exceptional item would be targeted to those positions. The second category is optimizing operational capacity. These are requests 7, 8, and 9 in our LAR. Our licensee population increased by 35.6% since 2016, while our FTE count only increased by 23.5%. With expected continued growth at 4% annually, we will need additional resources to maintain current standards. Aside from maintaining current standards, we want to improve services, which is why one of our exceptional item requests is for funding to establish an ombudsman's office. This office would have dedicated staff to help applicants navigate complex licensure scenarios and more directly aid Texans in getting complaints resolved. The final category is dedicated to IT projects. These are requests 4 and 6 in our LAR. We're requesting funding to modernize our legacy licensing and enforcement systems to streamline processes and further increase efficiency. The goal is to have one system to track all licensees across all TMB functions, licensure, renewal, and, when necessary, enforcement. Enforcement is where a more modern system will pay the highest dividends, both in terms of preserving resources and improving customer service. The new system will enable the board to reduce physical mail by using a secure portal system to send and receive documentation, which will also speed up processing times. Furthermore, complainants and licensees will enjoy enhanced visibility into the complaint process. Instead of relying on traditional mail to provide status updates, all parties will be able to receive real-time updates. In closing, today I'm asking you to invest more in the board and allow our licensees to realize more benefits from the licensure and renewal fees they're already paying. With the information I have shared with you, I hope that you see that we've shown that the board can be innovative, efficient, and good stewards of taxpayer dollars. Thank you for your support and consideration. That concludes my prepared remarks, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Senator Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of things, and we'll stick to the money part here. How much money has the agency spent chasing after doctors for issues relative to COVID-19?
I don't have a specific fact on how much the agency has spent related to complaints that we received
Yes.
regarding COVID-19. I mean, I wouldn't categorize it as us chasing anybody, but if we do get complaints,
Prosecuting,
we
following up on a complaint.
Correct.
Whatever you did, all the way, you have taken some to court over it.
very few.
But they've also spent time, you spent time in it. I'm just asking how much time and money has been spent, and how much time and money has been spent on any consultants or witnesses that you paid to come in the court cases or anywhere along the way.
I don't have those figures in front of me, but it's something that we can get back to you about.
And I'm talking about charges for people, things like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, budesonide, not wearing their mask quite square enough, all of those issues included.
Well, as we've discussed many times, we didn't go after anybody for using ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine in and of itself. It had to go with patient consent, record keeping, things of that nature.
See, I would remind you, you are under oath here. Here's one letter, just one of the letters. Dear doctor, and I'll leave the name off. The Texas Medical Board has received a complaint against you. It is alleged that you prescribed ivermectin for the treatment of COVID-19. That's not really consistent with what you just said. And it's not consistent with the letters and phone calls that I've gotten from many doctors with it. So I'm asking you now for, okay, how much money are we going to spend? Have we spent on those cases?
Again, I don't have a figure for that here.
Okay,
in
that's
front of me
fine.
today.
I'd just like to have it.
Sure.
Okay.
Do that.
And I'd like for you to reassess the answers to the question about how many doctors you have had complaints on and took any action at all relative to practices that fell outside what TMB was being directed to do by FSMB or FDA or CDA or wherever they're getting the directions from.
We don't receive any directions from FSMB, the FDA, or CDC.
Okay. Well, that's not the way their documents read, because you have a leader that's a member of the board, and they have a DEI program that's inconsistent with what Texas has.
Yes, the FSMB is an organization that provides guidance to medical boards across the state, and they try to come up with best practices and recommendations, but there is no direction given. They have no authority over the Texas Medical Board.
No, but they urge their members to go after doctors and take the license away from any that provide, quote, misinformation. And they held a whole seminar describing what they considered to be misinformation, and that was doctors treating COVID with off-label drugs like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and budesonide, and say this is misinformation, and the state boards should be taking their license away.
Well, we didn't do that with anybody, if that's
No,
what
my concern is that your leader is a member of that board, and I find it hard to understand how he can serve, and I was hoping he'd be here today to answer the question how he can serve two masters, because both of those are inconsistent with Texas.
The policies you're talking about from FSMB and the recommendations, they came out before Dr. Zaffron joined their board. And so that is not something that they've put out since the time that he's been on the board, as far as I'm aware.
But they're still in effect. So, but anyway, if you just get me the information on the dollars, if you would, please.
Happy to do so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there are no more questions. Thank you for your testimony.
Great, thank you.
Next, we have the Texas Board of Nursing, the LBB presentation on budget. David Pettit